Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we are getting into Karmelo Anthony's appeal process live. And we're going to go into exactly what an appellate brief is and how important it is for Karmelo Anthony. We're going to be getting into a few videos, actually, one from Legal Doc Talk, one from Dennis Spurling as well. But today we are covering a major development in the Karmelo Anthony case. You know, his legal team has officially filed a notice of appeal and the process has begun. So now he has a new appellate counsel, including Gary Bledsoe, Brooke Cluse, and veteran appellate attorney Russell Wilson II. So in this video, we're going to try to break down what an appeal actually is. We're going to try to go into what an appellate brief actually is. I'll pull up a few documents. Maybe we can look at one and see exactly what it is and see how important it is for Karmelo Anthony and this whole process for him. So salute to everybody. Make sure you're all slapping the like button. Make sure you're subscribing to Uda on Go. I'm going to give y'all some chances to hit that like button. I will be doing a poll real quick before we get started. So let's just listen to a record as we're doing this. We're going to listen to one of my songs, Fly By Love, in the process. While y'all all hitting that like button, salute to y'all. You know, I don't do too many lives, but
have the docketing statement pulled up, but I just want to kind of go over everything as far as the process real briefly if you have not already tuned into my other videos. So once a notice of appeal is filed, the next thing to do is file a docketing statement. After that docketing statement, then if they have not already done so, they would have to request the clerk record as well as the court transcript and get all of the information that was submitted to the court, and they have to forward that to the Court of Appeals so that way the Court of Appeals can send it over to the appeals attorneys, and that's both.
Okay, I've been in contact with the court reporters and the people in Texas and Collin County. They actually messaged back to me, got back to me. They said I was trying to reach out for the transcripts for a while, but they said that the appellate process must happen first. After the appellate process happens first, then the transcripts will be readily available for us and they will be available for purchase. So again, I will have to purchase the transcripts, but we have to wait for the appellate court process first. They get the transcripts, they go over the case themselves, and then it'll be ready out to the public. So just to let you know, I'll read the message that they sent me back just to let you know. So salute to that.
Both on the plaintiff side, or I would say the appellant side and the appellee side. What Karmelo did on the day that they sentenced him, he filed that notice of appeal because you have 3 days to file a notice of appeal. Otherwise, you just pretty much waive your right to appeal your case. And so regardless, either he did it or his attorney did it, but they preserved that right, which is a good thing. On the 23rd, the appellate team for Karmelo filed an amended notice of appeal, you know, pretty much saying, hey, we are the we're the attorneys that are now on the case, and kind of submitted a new deadline for things to be due, if that makes sense, like a scheduling order. And then 25th, a docketing statement was filed, and here is the docketing statement. And we'll go over this in just a second, but to kind of educate you guys on what that statement is, it is a statement. It's an administrative tool that allows the clerk of the court to quickly screen a case for any procedural or jurisdictional defects. The Supreme Court of Texas has published a uniform docketing statement, which each Court of Appeals posts on its website. Each appellate court's website can be found, and they provide us with that particular website address. So going back to the docketing, this is the uniform statement, and this is for criminal. They have one for civil, but this is the criminal side. And this pretty much you have to complete in its entirety. Okay. I've had some people reach back out to me because, you know, some people they can't afford appeals lawyers. So they try to do it themselves. And next thing you know, things are getting kicked back and they're not following the pro se guide that I provided for them. So if you don't fill this out completely, it will be getting kicked back. to you. So you want to ensure that if you ever decide to appeal a case in Texas, you have to ensure that you read that pro se guide and you fill out this statement correctly. And then there's other processes that you actually have to do. But going back into this, so it shows the docket number, the Fifth Court of Appeals, the case style, the companion case, the appellant's name, the appellee's name, and then this is all of the appellate attorneys. And so they had to check which attorney was actually sending over this file. Now he is the lead attorney, Russell Williams. So, I said Williams, Russell Wilson II. So he is the one that is the lead attorney on this case. And then going to the appellee attorneys, which would be the Collin County District Office. And so Amy Murphy is the lead attorney that is on this case. Perfection of appeal, judgment, and sentencing. So this is a criminal case type matter, and it's an appeal from a final judgment of conviction. Let's see, the date of the offense, the date that the sentence was imposed, his plea not guilty. Was the trial by jury or non-jury? Obviously a jury. He submitted his not guilty plea. The notice of appeal was filed on June 9th. The punishment that was assessed was the 35 years confinement to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. And then they said, is this appeal from the pretrial order? And no. Let's see. Now, this one, section 6, it states action extending time to perfect appeal. So motion for new trial. So they are opting to file a motion for a new trial. The deadline to file that motion is going to be July 9th, 2026. So they have a couple of days to get that motion in. So it's a lot of moving parts that is going on. So they have requested the records from the trial court, the court reporters, transcript, the clerk of court's docket. So that means everything that was filed, all the motions, all the pleadings, anything that was submitted to the court has to be submitted up to the Fifth Court of Appeals. And that is how they are able to kind of go through there to ensure that every single thing was done correctly and in order. So it is a process, and it is going to be a lot of work that is done on the Fifth Court of Appeals the clerk. So not the judges here, but this is the clerk, because the clerk is trying to get all this information. And so the clerks on both sides, the trial court clerk as well as the clerk for the Fifth Court of Appeals, because they got to transfer all the documents from one court to the upper court. So it's going to be a lot of things that they are going to get. But at the end of the day, they still have a deadline. They still have a deadline to get all of the records submitted to the Fifth Court of Appeals by August of this year. And I believe it was August 8th, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. So they already filed, and this was just saying the indigency of parties. So that is the affidavit of equivalent to the affidavit of inability to pay court costs or even afford a lawyer. So you have to, that was filed.
Okay. They're saying that he doesn't have no money, which is crazy. All right. Some people are saying that the family spent money, bought houses, cars, all types of stuff I'm hearing all online. But here we're saying that he doesn't have no money. That's crazy. You know, you need money to fight these kinds of cases. To even fight an M case, which he just fought, is going to take about $500,000. That's a period. I don't care what color you are. That's just a fact. You can Google that your own self. That's a fact. So for him, no money, he's saying. It's crazy work. That's sad work.
On June 9th. So that's pretty much saying that at the time he did not have the funds to actually hire an appeals attorney. And a lot of people just think that, you know, you can just get an attorney and go, you know, run with that. I want to be upfront and clear with you guys. Not every attorney can do things. As I mentioned before, you have attorneys that are great litigators, right? But those litigator attorneys can do terrible in the courtroom. Then you have some trial court attorneys that aren't good litigators, or they are good litigators, okay? But then you also have attorneys that don't really know the appeals process. So anytime you are seeking an appeal attorney, and it's the amount of calls that I get to, help people find appeals attorneys are very, 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 it's a lot. And I don't know too many appeals attorneys. So that's why you definitely got to do your homework when you're selecting an attorney, especially an attorney that you want to help you through the appeal process. So just know, not every attorney is a litigator. Not every attorney is a trial attorney. Not every attorney is an appeals attorney. But go on and so forth. We have the trial court record, and it just shows the lower court's information. It shows the clerk's record, the reporter's record. So like I said before, the clerk's record is everything that has to be requested, as well as the reporter. So the person that you see in the courtroom that's typing everything that's being said, they have to get that transcript. And that's what has to be forwarded up to the actual higher court. Let me see. Now, here are some things that y'all need to see. Related matters. This any pending or past related appeals before this or any other Texas appellate court by court docket style. None known. Post-conviction motion for new trial and motion to rescue are pending in the trial. Not rescue. Motion to recuse are pending in the trial court. Cause number 296. Now, that is here's the thing. I'm going to go to this right quick. And I know I'm doing this on a video, but I think y'all have been with me for enough time to realize that I usually do this. So y'all know, okay, she's right at work and I got to hurry up. Oh, wait a minute. You know what's crazy? Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm doing this live. Okay. So Karmelo Anthony. So the interesting thing that I just read is that they have a motion to recuse. And if y'all are unaware of what that is, that
they're trying to get the judge up out of here. The judge should have recused himself based on speculations that the judge and Jeff Metcalf has a relationship, whether it was photographic documentation that's come out. Some people saying that it wasn't true. Some people saying that it is true. But this is what that motion for recuse got to be about. Let's listen to what this is talking about.
Means they are trying to say that the judge needs to recuse himself from that case. So if there was a new trial, that trial cannot be heard by the same judge. I repeat, if a new trial is granted, that case cannot be heard by that judge. Why? Well, and I don't want to say it's speculation. I mean, there are photos out there that shows that the judge is friends or acquaintances, I would say rather, with Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff. So, in one of the questions that I got on one of the video posts was, why didn't the judge recuse himself? And that's a very slippery slope right there, because the judge wasn't directly, I really can't say this. He wasn't related. We don't know as far as their relationship goes. It could be an acquaintance,
Could be an acquaintance. That's a small town. Not so far-fetched to believe that somebody knows somebody, right? Especially in these little small towns. But didn't the judge retire? I think that was his last case, if I'm not mistaken. So do we need to play a sound effect behind that? I think that was the judge's Roach last case, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's retired after that case. I think that's his last trial. So I don't know. Speculations could start to wander, but let's just try to finish up a little bit with this. I'm gonna bring up some documentation on an actual appellate brief. I'm gonna try to bring up an actual image or a docket of an appellate brief. Maybe we could look at that. We'll get into Dennis Spurling as well, see what he has to say about the appeals process and the appellate brief, and what is it looking like for Karmelo Anthony. Salute to everybody. I want y'all dropping a like. I want y'all voting. Do you think that Karmelo Anthony will win his appeal? I want everybody that's with us to hit the poll and vote. Drop a like, share, and subscribe to Udo On Go. Let's get back to it. Salute to Shadow the Titan Watch for the 5. He said, "Fact." Salute to you, bro. I appreciate that.
It's not something that maybe they called each other on the phone, but regardless, I feel that if you know this family, you should have recused yourself from that trial or for that judge from that case as soon as you, because I think this complaint was filed on June 24th, 2025. So when that came into your court and you seen these names and you knew it was a possibility that you was going to get this case, you should have automatically said, hey, I'm going to recuse myself from this. But this is Collin County that we're talking about. This is Collin County. So with that being said, so there's a motion for a new trial and a motion to recuse, which is pending in this court. And I didn't see that on the court docket. That's why I took y'all guys there, right there. So that right there is the docketing statement. The next thing I wanted to show you guys was as far as the process and the reason for the docketing statement and what information it provides. It says upon perfecting the appeal in a criminal case, the appellant must file in the appellate court a docketing statement that includes the following. So, and you saw it. So this is just a outline of what it covers. If the appellant has a counsel, the name of the appellant and the name, address, telephone number, fax number, state bar identification number of the appellant's counsel, and whether he has been appointed or retained. Okay, appointed means that the court, if he did not have the funds, then the court would appoint an attorney for him. So they have to distinguish whether he was appointed or retained. If the appellant is not represented by an attorney, then you would obviously provide their information. The date of the notice of appeal was filed in the trial court. If it was mailed to the trial court clerk, the date of the mailing, the trial court's name in the county, the date the trial court imposed and suspended sentence in open court, the date of the filing of any motion of new trial, motion in arrest of judgment, or any other filings that affects the time for perfecting the appeal. The offense charged, the defendant's plea, whether the trial was a jury or non-jury, the punishment assessed, whether the appeal is from a pretrial order, whether the appeal involves the validity of a statute, ordinance, or rule, whether a reporter's record has been or will be requested, and whether the trial was electronically recorded, the name of the court reporter, the dates of filing of any motion and affidavit of indigence, any date of hearing, the date of any order, whether the motion was granted or denied, and any other information the appellate court requires. So this, as I stated before, is something that has to be completed in its entirety. You cannot leave any type of blank spaces when you are submitting this document, or it will get kicked back. So
you don't need that getting kicked back at all right? But look, let's go into exactly what this looks like, and maybe I could bring down something to read to y'all and show y'all about the appellate brief. I got some notes I've even taken as well to kind of help us along in breaking down not only what this process looks like for him, but what an actual appellate brief is and how important it is for Karmelo Anthony or any inmate that is trying to file an appeal, right? So let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Salute to everybody. Make sure y'all all slapping the like button. I got a few cases here too as well. Let me see. I think I could click this one right here, right? Yeah, I can do this one. All right, cool. Let's just bring this up first. And let's just see what this looks like. All right, cool. Let me make sure y'all can see it as well. All right, cool. This is the documentation. All right. What is an appellate brief and how does it work? An appellate brief is the written argument filed in an appeals court. Here's what goes into one and how the process works. An appellate brief is a written legal argument submitted to a higher court asking it to change or uphold a lower court's ruling. In federal appeals, the rules governing what goes into an appellate brief, how long it can be, and when it must be filed are spelled out in the federal rules of appellate procedure. Every jurisdiction has its own variations, but the federal rules provide the framework most state courts follow in broad strokes. Understanding the structure and deadlines matters because a brief that arrives late or ignores formatting requirement can sink an otherwise winnable appeal. Now, what an appellate brief actually does. An appellate brief is the primary way that you communicate your legal arguments to the judges deciding your appeal. And they say basically when it comes to the appeal, it's less about them arguing, it's less about what you're saying in court, and it's more about this and them reading this. So this is going to be based on what they decide, right? How you put this together, how you lay it all out. Right? Unlike a trial where witnesses testify and a jury weighs evidence, an appellate court works almost entirely from written submissions, just like I just told you, right? So the judges read the brief, review the record from the lower court, and decide whether legal errors occurred. Your brief is where you make the case that the trial judge got the law wrong, misapplied it, or made a procedural mistake that affected the outcome. The appellant, the party, who lost below, bears the burden of demonstrating that the lower court has made a reversible error. So automatically they're inclined to believe the jury's verdict. They're inclined to do that. So you guys, it's like it's reversed from when the burden of proof is on the prosecutors. Here it's on you to prove that the jury, whoever you think, whether it be the judge, procedure, whatever has happened, whatever you think, it's on you to prove this now. Okay, they just don't go about just overturning and reversing what they thought. So courts start with the presumption that the lower court got it right. See what I said? So the briefs need to do more than express disagreement with the result. It must identify specific mistakes, point to the part of the record where they happen, and explain which legal authorities support a different conclusion. The appellee's brief then responds, arguing that the lower court's decision was correct or that any errors were harmless. The required component. Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 28 lays out what an appellate brief must contain. While the exact requirements vary across jurisdictions, most courts expect these elements in roughly this order. 1, the table of contents, the table of authorities, a roadmap listing every section of the brief by page number, along with the alphabetical list of every case, statute, and legal source cited, the jurisdictional statement, a short explanation of why both the trial court and the appellate court have the authority over the case, citations to the relevant statutes, statement of the issues, the specific legal questions that you want the appellate court to answer, framing these well matters, a precisely stated issue focuses the court's attention exactly where you want it. Statement of the case, a factual and procedural summary drawn from the trial record. You cannot introduce new facts here. Everything must come from what was already before the lower court. This is why you got to make your objections. This is why you got to bring your emotions while the trial's happening, which I believe his defense did a lackluster job on. Yes, they did. They kind of jammed him up in some ways, if you ask me. That's just personal. All right. Did I read summary of the arguments? A concise preview of your legal points. The federal rules require this to be so. The federal rules require this to be more than a copy of your argument headings. It should give the court a clear sense of your reasoning in a few paragraphs. The actual argument, the core of the brief. Each issue gets its own section with citations to legal authorities and specific parts of the record for each issue. The brief must also identify the applicable standard of review, the lens through which the appellate court will evaluate the lower court's decision. And finally, the conclusion, a short statement of the specific relief you want, such as a reversal of the judgment, a new trial, or a modification of the sentence. The appellee's brief follows the same general structure, but can skip certain sections like the jurisdictional statement and the case statement. if the appellees agree with the appellant's version. Standards of review. One of the most consequential parts of the appellate brief is identifying the correct standard of review. This tells the court how much deference it owes the lower court's decision on each issue, and getting it wrong can undermine an otherwise strong argument. Federal Rule 28 requires the appellant to state the applicable standard of review for every issue raised, either within the discussion of each issue or under a separate heading. The three most common standards are de novo. The appellate court looks at the legal question fresh with no deference to the trial court's conclusion. This applies to pure questions of law, things like whether the statute was correctly interpreted or whether the jury received proper instruction. De novo gives the appellants the best chance of reversal because the appellate court substitutes its own judgment entirely. Abuse of discretion. The appellate court defers to the trial judge's decision and will reverse only if the ruling was unreasonable or arbitrary. This standard applies to judgment calls the trial court made, such as evidentiary rulings or decisions about discovery. The bar for reversal is significantly higher. Now, just plain old error. The toughest standard for an appellate, it applies when the appealing party failed to object at trial. Jesus Christ. Meaning the issue wasn't properly preserved. The court will overturn the lower court's decision only if the error seriously undermines the fairness of the proceedings. Experienced appellate lawyers think about standards of review before they even start writing. Even if every issue in your appeal faces an abuse of discretion or just a plain error standard, the brief needs to work much harder to show why reversal is justified despite the deference owed to the trial court who files the appellate brief. You know that he has a new appellate lawyer who's a veteran appellate attorney in Russell Wilson II. You got the president of the NAACP, which is Gary Bledsoe, and you have a civil rights attorney in Brooke Cluse. So those are the three, besides anybody else that would be a part of this legal team that he's assembled, but those three people. So you already know you need an appellate court attorney, okay? In Diddy's trial, Agnifalo's wife is actually one of those type people. She's one of those appellate type attorneys. So regardless of the fact, he might have never been an appellate attorney, but his wife is. So you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of a smart move for him to even hire Agnifalo. See what I'm saying? So the appellate, sometimes called the petitioner, is the party who lost in the lower court and initiates the appeal by filing a notice of appeal. This party files the opening brief, and which lays out the alleged errors and argues for reversal or for modification. The appellee, sometimes called the respondent, is the party who won below. The appellee files a response brief defending the lower court's ruling and arguing that the appellant's claimed errors either did not happen or they didn't affect the outcome. So you know that's what they're going to be on. They're most definitely going to be on this. So you can bet your bottom dollar on that. After the appellees respond, the appellant may file a reply brief addressing arguments raised in the response. The reply brief is optional, but it is the appellant's last chance to respond in writing before the court decides the case. Under the federal rules, a reply brief cannot raise new issues. It must stick to the points the appellee brought up. Cross appeals. Sometimes both sides are unhappy with the lower court decision. When the appellees believe that the trial court made errors too, it can file a cross appeal. This changes the briefing sequence. Instead of 3 briefs, the federal rules require 4. The appellant's principal brief, a combined document where the appellee both respond to the appellant and presents its own cross appeal arguments. A combined response and reply from the appellant, and finally, the appellee's reply on the cross appeals issues. Now, non-parties with a significant interest in the legal issues at stake can file an amicus curiae a friend of the court. These are common in cases that raise broad legal questions affecting an industry, a class of people, or constitutional rights. Federal and state governments can file amicus briefs without needing permission. Anyone else must either get consent from all parties or ask the court for leave to file. So explaining their interest in the case and why the brief would help the court reach the decision. Now, filing deadlines. Appellate deadlines are rigid, and the clock starts ticking earlier than most people realize. In federal civil cases, you have just 30 days from the date that the judgment is entered to file your notice of appeal. I think in Carmelo's case, it was they filed it within like 3 days, but I think you have up to 14 days, if I'm not mistaken, right? Something like that. So in criminal cases, the window shrinks exactly to 14 days. Missing this initial deadline usually means losing the right to appeal altogether again. But we already know they filed it like within 3 days. So they got that right out the way. Okay. But if he missed this deadline of 14 days, you can't even appeal, which is crazy. Once the appeal is underway and the record from the lower court is assembled, the brief schedule begins under Federal Rule 31. The deadline run as follows. The appellant's opening brief due within 40 days after the record is filed with the appellate court. The appellee's response brief due within 30 days after the appellant's brief is served. The appellant's reply brief due within 21 days after the appellee's brief is served, but must be filed at least 7 days before the oral arguments. Now, in cross appeal cases, the appellee gets 30 days after the appellant's principal brief to file its combined response and cross appeal brief. And the appellant then gets 30 days to respond to the cross appeal and reply. The state courts set their own briefing schedules, which can differ subsequently from the federal timeline. Consequences of missing a deadline. If the appellant fails to file a brief within the time allowed, the appellee can move to have the entire appeal dismissed. If the appellee is the one who misses the deadline, the consequence is different but still serious. The appellee will not be allowed to participate in oral argument unless the court grants special permissions. Now, this is where many appeals quietly die. A court may issue a warning and set a firm dismissal date, but once the case is dismissed for failure to brief, getting it reinstated is an uphill fight that typically requires showing exceptional circumstances. Word limits and formatting. Now, the appellate courts enforce strict length and formatting requirements under Federal Rule 32. A principal brief, whether the appellants or the appellees, cannot exceed 13,000 words. A reply brief is capped at half of that, 6,500 words. If you use word count rather than page limits, the brief must include a certificate of compliance certifying the documents meet the type volume limitation and stating the word count. And you have to state the word count. As an alternative to word count, the federal rules allow a page-based limit to 30 pages for a principal brief and 15 pages for a reply. Most practitioners choose the word count route because it provides more space. Now, the rules also specify typeface requirement, margin sizes, and binding, details that feel bureaucratic but will get your brief rejected if you ignore them. State appellate courts have their own formatting rules, which may set different words or page limits. How an appellate brief differs from a trial document. The biggest difference between an appellate brief and the documents filed during a trial is that an appellate brief cannot introduce new evidence. A trial brief presents facts that haven't yet been proven, arguing to a judge or a jury about what the evidence shows. An appellate brief works from the existing record, the transcripts, the exhibits, and filings from the proceedings below. Federal appellate courts treat this as a firm rule. They will not consider new evidence raised for the first time on appeal or facts that weren't before the trial court when the challenge ruling was made. Now, there are narrow exceptions, such as a judicial notice. of publicly available facts or correction of the record under the Federal Rule Appellate Procedure 10E. Now, but these apply in limited circumstances and do not allow you to supplement the record with evidence that you wish you had presented at the trial. If a critical piece of evidence was missing from the lower court proceeding, the typical remedy is to request a remand so that the trial court can consider it, not to attach it to your appellate brief. Now, the audience is different too. Trial documents speak to a single judge or a jury deciding what happened. An appellate brief speaks to a panel of judges reviewing whether the law was applied correctly. The focus shifts from what are the facts to did the lower court handle the law and the procedure properly. What happens after the briefs are filed? Once all briefs are submitted, the appellate court decides whether to hold oral arguments under Federal Rule 34. Oral argument is the default. The court must allow it unless a three-judge panel unanimously agree. It would not help. Typically, because the appeal lacks merit, the controlling law is well established, or the briefs already cover the issues thoroughly. Now, the parties can also agree to submit the case for decisions based on the brief alone, skipping the oral arguments entirely. Now, in practice, many federal appeals are decided without oral arguments. When the court does schedule it, each side typically gets a limited amount of time, often 15 to 30 minutes. And the judge will have already read the briefs, so the oral argument is less about presenting your case from scratch and more about answering the judge's questions on the points that they find the most difficult or uncertain. The brief, not the oral argument, is where appeals are won and lost. So that goes to show you what that is about, okay? So that's for people that don't understand what a brief is. I'll try to bring up an image of a brief as well. Let's see if we can bring up something before I go into this last video that I wanted to bring up. Hold up. I think I got a search from here. Hold up. Okay. Share screen, share window, boom. So look, boom. So, okay, let me drag this over here. So this is basically what an appellate brief would look like, right? Let me just bring this here. I can't really see. Okay. Like they said, remember said they go from there, then it goes into the table of contents. See, Court of Appeal. This is from the District of Columbia, but you can kind of get the gist. This is a 57-page document, but it just goes to show you what it's all about, right? The trial, the government's evidence, the background, the unaliving, eyewitness identification testimony. They go into his, you know what I mean? The summary of the argument itself. The trial did not err in admitting SB's text messages to EB as statements against the penal interest, right? So this is just in this specific person's case. So it's going to be different for Karmelo, but it goes to show you how it lists out the table of contents and everything. This is saying there was no error or any error was harmless. It kind of breaks that down, right? The table of authorities as well as the table of contents, right? Cases that you will be citing, stuff like that, right? It saves people time, right? Statutes, going to the statutes. This is in DC, remember District of Columbia. This would be from Texas because this Karmelo Anthony situation. See, and then they go into the issues presented. Boom, see how I kind of break it down. And this would be in the Fifth Circuit Court, if I'm not mistaken, for Karmelo Anthony. I think it'll be going to the higher courts. And I think it'll be going to the Fifth Circuit Court. Okay, see the trial itself, they go into the trial, the government's evidence, the background. So it kind of looks like how the transcripts would look of the actual trial, but it's not going into bringing up really new facts. It's just going into what happened at trial and things that were presented at trial and any procedural things that happened wrong or whatever the case, they start to break it down from there. They call it into question the eyewitness identification testimony, right? So they could call anything into question that they feel went wrong with the case. This is another person that was at the trial, at his trial, this person's trial. Just kind of skipping through it so y'all could get a summary of the argument. The trial court did not err in admitting SB out of court text messages to EB as statements against the penal interest when read in the context with SB's earlier face-to-face confession to EB that he and MH had unalived GW. These texts were not ambiguous and instead demonstrated SB's consciousness of guilt and exposed him to criminal liability. SB made no attempt to minimize his conduct or shift blame onto MH in either his face-to-face or his text communications with SB, and thus his admission of guilt to EB were truly inculpatory as to him in any event, and any error in the admission of SB's text messages were harmless, and there was compelling evidence of MH's guilt, including the identification testimony of 3 government witnesses and SB's in-person confession to EB. So it's kind of giving you a breakdown of what that looks like and how it's going to be going for Karmelo Anthony, right? Cool beans. All right, cool. Let's get into Dennis though. Let's see what Dennis talking about. All right, cool.
About improper witness opinion. They can talk. His appellate court lawyers can raise. They can talk about Batson. They can talk about a jury charge.
He mentioned Batson. That's Batson versus Kentucky. It's called the Batson Challenge. When they get any kind of errors with the jury itself, it's called the Batson versus Kentucky. So y'all can look up Batson versus Kentucky. I did a little video kind of breaking it down, and I actually reached for a video from Judge Joe Brown, and he was actually talking about the Batson Challenge as well, Batson versus Kentucky. And I'll try to bring that up in the next video, and we could kind of explain what that could kind of help him, or if it can't help him at all. Just because he had no black people on his jury, or any kind of things that you think was wrong with the exact jury. So that's called Batson versus Kentucky, or the Batson Challenge.
They can talk about legal sufficiency. They can talk about improper witness opinions. They can talk about the judge possibly rushing the jury. There was some internet rumor that he told the jury, if y'all don't hurry up and come up with a verdict, I'm gonna put all y'all in a hotel. They can talk about prosecutorial misconduct. They can talk about ineffective assistance of counsel. They can talk about punishment, mitigation. But people need to understand something. Having an appellate issues is not the same thing as having a winning appellate issue. You understand the difference? Having an appellate issue that gives you a good faith-based grounds to appeal does not mean that is a winning appellate issue. Okay? Does that make sense? There's a difference. That's the hard truth. Every one of these issues is difficult. Legal sufficiency is hard because the appellate court views the evidence in the light most favorable to the verdict. In other words, judicial economy says we want to keep this verdict intact. Y'all went through all this trouble to get a trial and get a jury, and you got it, and we don't want to disturb it. So we're going to look at this verdict in the light most favorable to the jury. That means the court gives the jury every reasonable inference that supports the conviction. Karmelo admitted to stabbing Austin Metcalf. Does that make me a sellout for saying that? The wound was in his chest. The knife hit his heart. Does that make me a boule for saying that? It's the truth, right? The jury heard that evidence. They heard that Austin was unarmed. Does that make me a raccoon for saying that? That's the truth. Y'all don't want me, you want me to lie? Y'all want me to say that it was Austin's knife. I know, that's what you want me to say. It was Austin's knife, and Karmelo disarmed him and took his knife. And but for that, Austin would have stabbed it. That's what, I can lie. I can make up some tall tales if you want me to. Some aliens came from outer space and pushed Karmelo into him and took over his brain. I can lie. If that makes you feel better, I can tell you all the lies you want to hear. Is that what you want to hear? That's like the lawyer said, oh man, you got a great case. We're going to get you off. All you need to do is just give us $100,000 down payment and we'll help you beat this shoplifting charge. Is that what you want? I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. Huh? Is that what you want? I can lie to you. I'll make you feel good. You want me to feel good? I'll make you feel good. It won't be the truth. And you'll be very disappointed when the truth comes out. At least now you can get prepared. That's one of the issues. Batson is another one. Right? Self-defense. I mean, what are you going to do? Again, as I say, Batson, you got to show that you got to show that it's not just enough to say not just enough to say we got all a white jury or they struck all the black jurors. They have to deal with the state's race neutral explanation. Shout out to 99 Problems. They have to show those explanations were fake. And on appeal, the trial judge gets deference. In other words, we're going to believe him unless you show us why we shouldn't. Absolute evidence to show us why we shouldn't. So again, Batson is the best argument. It sounds powerful to the public, but it's a record-heavy, fact-specific fight. That evidence might not be in there. Then there's this jury charge issue. People keep bringing that up. I don't even know if that's true. Have y'all seen the jury charges? But the appellate court will actually look at the written jury charges. Did somebody mistake the law? I don't think that's probably going to be hard to prove. Pretty easy. All they get the same template they've been using for years. Did it improperly limit self-defense? Did it confuse the jury? Did it shift the burden? Did the defense object? If the charge was legally correct, this issue goes nowhere fast. If the charge was wrong, but nobody objected, the standard gets much harder. A jury charge is just a piece of paper. It's like 20 pieces of paper with all the law, and the judge reads it into the record. He typically goes over it and over again, him and the law clerks. They'll give a copy to defense counsel and the prosecutors. And they'll look at it and make sure it's accurate. I don't know. Improper witness opinion testimony. I understand that they ask all these lay witnesses whether or not they thought it was self-defense or not. So they might say, well, that's improper witness opinion. That they're not allowed to give expert testimony. And whether something is self-defense or not is a legal decision. But again, preservation matters. Did the defense object each and every time? Did the judge rule? Did the testimony actually affect the verdict? Shout out to Big J. Again, if all that happens, then it becomes much weaker. On appeal. Judicial coercion. That's another issue people keep raising up. If the judge pressured the jury to hurry up, because remember, this trial lasted 4 days. That was quick. I think they deliberated for about 4 hours.
Right, under 3, like 2.
And there's some rumor that the judge told them, well, yeah, if y'all don't hurry up and come up with this ruling, you're going to stay in the hotel tonight. And in that regard, did the judge pressure the jury to hurry up? That could matter, but the exact words matter. A judge can talk about scheduling. A judge can discuss logistics. A judge can tell jurors what happens next. And that's called sequestering, by the way. A judge can tell jurors what happens next. A judge can can't do it. He can't pressure them to hurry up and reach a verdict. Not like that. So unless the record shows real coercion, not just discomfort or inconvenience, this issue is not going to go far either. And what about prosecutorial misconduct? I don't know. That's what you're saying. They may not, people may not like the prosecutor's tone. They may not like arguments. They may think the state was unfair, but that doesn't automatically equal reversal for misconduct or reversible misconduct. The defense actually has to object, ask for an instruction, and sometimes move for mistrial. If they didn't, the issue gets waived more likely than not. And even if there was misconduct, the appellate court still asks whether that even would affect the trial. Because you got a dead body, a murder weapon, dozens of eyewitnesses, and a confession. So did that really affect the trial? Did that affect the evidence? That's what they're saying. Ineffective assistance of counsel, I talked about that. It may be an issue people yell about most. I heard y'all on the internet. You don't win ineffective assistance of counsel by saying the lawyer looked bad on the internet. You have to prove deficient performance and prejudice. You have to show the lawyer's work fell below constitutional standards, and the outcome probably would have been different. That's a brutal standard. Brutal standard. And because the trial record usually doesn't explain why lawyers made certain decisions, ineffective assistance of counsel often fits better in a habeas corpus non-direct appeal. Look, even the punishment is also hard. 35 years sounds like a lot, but murder carries a wide punishment range in Texas. So the sentence itself is not automatically illegal or reversible. The better punishment argument would have to be about improper evidence, bad punishment instructions, or lack of mitigation or ineffective assistance. Again, it depends on the record. So the big picture is this. None of these issues are easy. Not one of them. Okay? None of them. Not one. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard. I'm not saying the appeal is impossible, but it's going to be very hard.
Most definitely got an upward climb, yo. You damn sure got an upward climb. It's going to be a rough one for him, you know. But you got 3 new set of eyes on this whole situation, on this whole case. You got a veteran attorney from the appellate courts as well, and Russell Wilson. Let's see what they can do. But a lot of these things that Dennis Spurling is bringing up, as far as the defense raising objection, bringing these things up at trial on the record, I just think that his defense failed a lot of these things. That doesn't mean he's out of the water. You know, can Batson be something that can be used here? Could he qualify for Batson versus Kentucky? There's going to be some hard things to prove, though. There's going to be some hard things to prove. We just got to be realistic. There's going to be hard things to prove. And I think that his defense also like shortened his arms on the reach of these things that he's reaching for. I think they had shortened his arms on the situation. But I'm looking forward to see what his defense team can do. I've been in contact with his defense team, the new team that's here. I reached out to all 3 of them. I actually got back. I actually spoke to one of them. I'm not going to state which one of them, but I spoke to one of them. And, you know, they told me that they're really focused on this appeals process and they just really want to focus on this right now. And Yeah, I'm just trying to get a little insight as well, you know, to a few things that's in my mind that I'm thinking about this whole situation, this whole trial, this whole process that he's about to go through right now. And it would seem like they're just stepping into the case because it seems like he doesn't have any money. So I know that it takes a lot to hire these kinds of people. These people are big wigs. So maybe they're just stepping in pro bono. I don't know how the payment works for these new attorneys that's stepping in. You know, I don't know how that works, you know, but I do know that it seems like a rough situation for Karmelo Anthony, man. I'm not gonna lie to you on that, for real. So let me see if I can bring up something else, because I don't know if y'all might have heard this. It's in the 911 call. I think it's something that should have been highlighted during the trial, and it goes to show Carmelo's standing in the whole situation. You know what I mean? So let me just go back to the 911 call real quick. Video file right there. Let me go to the 911 call. Let's find it. Let's find it. Okay, audios. All right, let's listen to this 911 call, all right?
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Okay, do you know who stabbed him?
We have no clue. He was sitting in our tent, but you need to send an ambulance right now.
They're on the way, okay? Give me a description of the person that stabbed him.
He was wearing a gray Essentials hoodie. He was black. He's standing out on the track right now.
He's standing on the track?
Yeah.
Okay.
His blue sweatpants on and done.
Okay, what did he stab your friend with?
I don't know. My friend's bleeding everywhere.
Okay. Okay. Where was he stabbed at?
The chest.
Okay. And do you still see the person that stabbed him, or did he leave?
It was Austin. Austin got stabbed in the chest. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The person that stabbed him, is he still there? Do you still see him?
There's adults on him, I think. Yeah.
There's adults that are trying to keep him there?
Know who he is. Sorry, what?
The person that stabbed your friend, is he still there?
Yeah, he's still here.
Okay, and
He's with the coach.
there's a coach with him?
Yes, he's with. People got him.
Okay. Do you know if he still has the weapon on him?
No clue, but he's like he can't do nothing. He's done.
What do you mean?
He stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest. What?
What do you mean he can't do anything? What's going on with him?
Coaches have him, he can't.
As he's on the 911 call, other students or other people, seems like students are coming up. He's talking with someone else. Students are coming to talk to him, and they're relaying information on this phone call. I want you to listen to what him or one of the students says while he's live on the 911 call, right? I want you to listen to what he says.
I heard anyone.
Okay, when you say they have him, are they physically holding him down?
No, they're just holding him, walking around.
Okay.
Okay. He was under our team. Austin tried to make a move.
Okay. Okay. Okay, when you say...
You hear what I'm gonna rewind right there. He says, yo, man, Austin tried to make a move. He says that Austin tried to make a move. For him to even say it like that, he tried to make a move, gotta be that he was warned, he was told something, right? But yet this person that's talking to him on the phone while he's on the phone with the 911 responders, he says, Austin tried to make a move, all right? So people are looking at Karmelo as the aggressor here, but Austin's the one that tried to make that move. See what I'm saying? That's just in the 911 call. That's besides anything else.
They have him. Are they physically holding him down?
No, they're just holding him, walking around.
Okay.
Okay. He was under our team. Austin tried to make a move.
Okay. What's your name?
Austin tried to make a move. How you making a move if you don't know what's going on? Seems like Austin was warned, regardless of what's going on, regardless of why he has this weapon or not. on school grounds or at a meet at least, right? Regardless of that, one of the students come to say Austin tried to make a move. Why did he word it like that? Why didn't he say, yo, Austin just pressed, Austin did what he did to him, or just whatever? Austin tried to make a move. Look at how he's wording that. That's very telling how he's wording that. Austin never knew, though, him making that move would have cost him his life on that April 2nd, 2025. You know what I'm saying? And it's RIP to Austin, too, bro. I feel bad for Karmelo. Heart goes out to him and his family, even the Metcalf family, even if the father's racist, bro. I'm not a racist, bro. You feel me? I'm not a racist, bro. He lost his son, so I can understand something in something. Not why he's going to be racist, but I can understand something, bro. But regardless, his RIP to him. They were both children, bro. Both kids, man. I don't think that Austin should have lost his life, and I don't think that Karmelo should be doing 35 years right now. That's just a fact of the matter. Some people are saying, yo, Austin deserved it. He a devil. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm hearing a lot of stuff going online, and I'm not here to sway no one's opinion. I'm not that. I'm not into echo chambers. I'm not into none of that, bro. I'm a person that lives life, and I've been through a lot of situations that a lot of people have not been. See what I'm saying? But regardless of the fact, those are two children. Two children, bro. That's it. Austin didn't understand him making that move. His own people is saying right now on the phone that would have cost him his life, bro. And Karmelo didn't understand him pulling out that weapon, him using the knife, him having it. Whether they say he held it like this, whether they say he swung it, whether they say he poked it, whatever you say he did with it. If he understood that he'd have got 35 years of a sentence, he'd have probably rethought his position and maybe even left that damn tent. The shit wasn't worth it. None of this was worth it for both sides, period. Both mothers on both sides, pain that they would never get over, point blank, period. This is a fact. This is just a fact, man. And sometimes we need to have humanity, bro, for real. To me, those are two young kids. Austin right now would be like my son's age. My son is 18, about to be 19. Karmelo's already 19, bro. When I look at their situation, I think about my son, man. When I think about Austin, I think about him, bro. I just played a video on my channel, a short. I could go and pull it up online, TikTok, where Metcalf's mom, Megan Metcalf, comes out and speaks. And she's talking about a cheerleader situation that Austin and Hunter got into when they got into a beef with some cheerleaders. It was their cheerleaders for their school. And they was like, oh, man, this team was trash or something like that. Like, you know, probably said the SH word. Like, it was trash. And then Hunter them got on their heels like, yo, what are you talking about? Yo, what are you talking about? So it led to like a verbal altercation. So the mother says, you know, Austin may be, you know what I mean, more reserved in that instant to say nothing. Or, you know what I mean? But Hunter, she's saying like, you know, Hunter's the one that's going to be doing the most, saying the most. And he was the one that was kind of initiating that whole beef and that back and forth between some cheerleaders that said that their team was trash. And their team was trash. It's not like they was lying on the damn team. And Hunter them started beefing with him. Yo, what you talking about? Led to a verbal altercation between the Metcalf boys and the cheerleaders for the Memorial High School for their team. Where is evidences like this to show people's mindsets, to show people's character, to show the aggressive nature of people? We hear things about them being bullies, a possibility. I didn't see nothing stamped that they were bullies. So I can't sit and say, yeah, I know for a fact they was bullied. They testified in court. I can't say that. So whoever's saying it and don't have the facts, we can't say it based off that. You know what I'm saying? We could say, oh, I think they got into something with their pops and broke a collarbone, and this paperwork saying that he put hands on Mom Dukes and he put hands on the pops. We could get into that paperwork. Let's find the documentation, though. Because I've been hearing a lot of those things too as well, but I haven't seen the documents. And I'm a person that likes to see the documents. You know what I'm saying? I want to see the documentation too as well to back it, because there's so much misinformation that's just going around online. Everybody just saying what the hell they think about the situation. Nobody's researching nothing. Everybody just watching TikTok videos and YouTube videos, and now they matlock. Now they matlock. Ain't pull one document, nothing. But they matlock. That's why I'm waiting. I know some of the things never been brought up in court. The defense was supposed to push some of these things, to push for some of this evidence. They were supposed to pull up evidence and pull up people to speak to the character of the brothers too. Who are they? How do they act on a day-to-day basis? Who are these guys? Do they have anger issues? Why not speak to some of that? Why not? Why not call character witnesses on Karmelo's behalf to speak for him, what kind of person he is? Yo, you know, he has a playful spirit. He ain't really like that. He ain't really that. He don't be on that type of time. He's really like a cool guy. He actually want to stop fights. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got people that's speaking of you like that. Yet the defense called witnesses, at least a witness that says, you know what, I think Karmelo's in the wrong on cross-examination. They flipped the whole script on the defense. What? What? My question is, did the defense do enough at all? We know they didn't do enough, period. But did they do enough at all to help the new team that's coming in? Gary Bledsoe, Brooke Cluse, and Russell Wilson II. Did they do enough in court, on the record, at the trial, to help further along the process that they're about to go through now as far as the appellate courts and the appellate brief and the appeals process? Did they do enough? So I just feel that this new team that's coming in has an uphill climb. I'm not saying nothing can't be done. Shit. You know what I'm saying? We done seen many of people walk up out of that building. You know what I mean? You done seen it. Even if you don't know people, you've seen it on the news. You probably never went into the case, but shit, you seen them on the news like this. Getting awarded a damn judgment. But did his defense do enough? Some people are blaming it on Karmelo's parents, you know? I don't think they know about the process, bro. You know what I mean? Unless you really know about these types of things, unless you have legal background, unless you have people that's in your family around you or something with a legal background that can kind of break down things to you, you really are just following the rabbit. You know, for me, that guy Dominique, what's his name? Dominique Alexander, whatever that guy name is, that guy that came in was the spokesperson. I don't even know why he was speaking for the family at all. Some people say that he was helping and he was part of picking the defense team. I don't know how factual that is. The guy's a shady character to me. Shady as can be. The man can't even speak, but want to itch up himself on the news to come and talk for somebody. But the man can't even talk. Man's slow. Allegedly. That's what I'm going to say. I think he is, bro. How did he even get down with the family? That's what he does. He works for a group that hollers at families that been through things like this in cases and situations like this. What are they doing? Coming through, giving them some money. Listen, I'm going to give y'all some financial aid. You know what I'm saying? Boom, let me try to help y'all and represent y'all. Boom, boom, boom. There's no way. I think he had to get him some money. Allegedly, this is my own thought, bro. My own opinion. I think how else, bro? What you needed this fool for? I think he hurt them more than he helped them. Whether we want to say this was race from the beginning, it was a race-based case, or it's racially charged, it's elements that came to be pushed to make it that as well, more than what it is, bro. Whether you want to say that the Metcalf brothers didn't like Karmelo because he was black and he was there, you could say what you want to say. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't racist from Karmelo's angle. It's not racial, bro. It could be just young kids doing what young kids do. Why isn't this case more about that? Two young 17-year-olds that's getting into something with a couple of the other 17-year-old friends, and it's something that happened and it went tragically wrong. It's what this is. Why push it into a race war? Why push it to racial? Why? Why? Even though we understand that this is America and we get it, bro. That's why some people say that he got the jury he got. which was 5 white men, 5 white women, 4 Middle Eastern women, 1 Middle Eastern man, 1 Asian woman, if I'm not mistaken, and 1 Hispanic woman, if I'm not mistaken. That was the pool. The backup and the actual jurors, the reserves and the jurors, 18 people. Can Batson versus Kentucky, the Batson challenge, help him in that case, in that regard? Yet to see. But we heard on that audio, which is the 911 call, the 911 call. Okay, Mason's 911 call. I just played for you. Austin made a move, yo. He made a move. What do you mean he made a move? Did he go for the weapon? What was the move he made? Why did he say it that way? Austin made a move. Why?
When you say they have him, are they physically holding him down?
No, like they're just holding him, walking around.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What's your name?
Mason Nordyke.
Austin tried to make a move. Why is he saying like that? Yo, Austin grabbed him. Austin tried to punch him. Austin just hit him. Austin just did that. There's many things he could have said here, right? Austin tried to make a move. When you try to make a move, it's like somebody got you back down with a straps. You try to make a move for it. It's like a person got a weapon. You try to make a move for it, right? Think about this. You tried to make a move. Why would you say it like this? What other situation unless the person got a weapon? It's something like that. What are you talking about? Try to make a move. Even if somebody jumping you, they ain't gonna explain it like that. Yo, son, yo, Uda tried to make a move. No, that's not the language of me going at some people that's trying to jump me, bro. I tried to make a move. No, man, I tried to fight them. Period. I tried to bang on them. Whatever the case, right? So think about this, bro. Austin tried to make a move. Witnesses testified that Austin said he ain't got nothing. This Frisco. Ignorance. He was warned. Regardless if Karmelo had that thing for a reason or not, why he had it, we'll never know. It was illegal to be on school grounds. You can get into some of those things if you want to. But we know that he warned them to say, yo, don't do it. Do not try it. Not today, bro. Don't try it. And you hear from his own friend's mouth what Austin did. Austin tried to make a move. Why didn't Austin go and get a teacher? Why didn't someone that's here talking about get out, get out, get out, go and get a staff member or an adult? Why didn't Karmelo also, you got to say whether you want to say stand your grounds or not, because they didn't push for stand your grounds as far as the defense goes. So also, why didn't Karmelo just stand up and get his ass out of there and walk out the damn tent? That's a possibility too, right? Both are a possibility. We can't just say possibilities on one side. No, this is life. It's endless possibilities, but it's possibilities on both sides, period, right? So we did see he got up out that damn tent after it all happened, and the rain didn't matter no more. He went up out that tent, bro, regardless of the fact, bro. We did see that. I know he's thinking about that every day. Why ain't just go, bro? Why ain't just leave, bro? I ain't even have to be under that bum ass tent anyway. Why didn't I just go, bro? That's one thing he's thinking about for a fact, bro. Trust me, I know he is. And the next big thing that he's thinking about is, yo, should I have testified in my own case, bro? Because if he would have testified, he could have brought up some of these things that we're thinking about. He could have spoke to the feeling, the fight or flight feeling that he was going through, whether he felt like he was going to be jumped, whether he felt like, yo, I had reason to believe because his brother was talking to me and he was on one side. And if he was coming at me and if I was fighting with the brother, his brother would have came. He would have had to been the one to speak to all of those elements because the defense was not doing a damn good job about that. He would have had to speak on his mindset of how he felt in that moment. He could have spoke about why he had the weapon at all. What's the reason for it? He could also speak to some remorse he felt because right before sentencing, The defense and the prosecutors are able to call witnesses. The defense called his mother up to speak. His mother got up there and spoke to Karmelo being her oldest son, spoke to him actually having remorse throughout the situation, him being remorseful. But who better than talk about remorse than Karmelo himself? When you can look in his eyes and just see that he's a young boy, man, that made a tragic mistake. Maybe that could have fell on the jury's heart. I think if he testifies, he don't probably get 35. Some people say he could have got more because you never know. Jury, that prosecutor trip you up, how you looking crazy. But the defense did a poor damn job. They didn't do nothing. The prosecutor's photos were 58 photos, okay, showing what they deemed as all the evidence they needed. The defense only had 14 images, bro. I will bring them up now for you, bro. 14 images, bro. All 14, 13 actually, is all about Eddie. You proved that he know him in 3 photos of him and Eddie. He had his mom join. He had it out. That's all the photos you could bring up? Nothing else? You can't obtain no other photos to come bring up in this thing right here, bro. That's it. Just Eddie. That's all. He just dying on this Eddie Hill. That's all. That's weird as hell, son. That's weird as hell to me, bro. Come on, son. It's weird, bro. It's weird. It's weird to me, bro. It's weird. Hold up. Let me pull up their photos real quick. It's crazy. Let's go through their photos. Look. Look. Come on, we can get through all of this, bro. Hold up. Is there the photos? No. Let me go through here. Look. Boom. Boom. Watch. Here we go. Let me show y'all. This is nasty work, bro. It's nasty work, bro. Look. Look. Make sure y'all can see it. Have y'all seen it? Let me remove the 911 call. Let me add this to the stage. Look. This all 8 photos, bro. All the defense brought up, bro. Look. Which we understand. This Eddie on the right here. This him. This his mom's 50th birthday party, her in the black. Right? Eddie, Karmelo and his mom. So, Eddie saying, acting like he don't really know him that well. So it goes to show that he does know Eddie, obviously, right? They cool making duck lips. They together playing basketball, hanging out with his family. Everybody's Spanish but Karmelo, right? Karmelo and the girlfriend must be Eddie's cousin, the girlfriend or so, right? Look like they on a double date, him, Eddie, Karmelo, the cousin, maybe Eddie shorty, right? They roasting marshmallows over an open fire, right? There go Karmelo again. He holding her hand. No, is this the mother girlfriend? I don't know who it is, but probably one of them is. She's holding his hand, though. Obviously, he's like family to these people, right? They got some love, Karmelo, right? Always around the family. Him and him rocking out. Look, they rocking out. He playing PS5s. Him and Eddie chilling. Opposing teams. Okay? Same team that Hunter plays for. You don't think that they ever saw each other before? If him and Karmelo is on the field next to each other at a meet, okay, and Eddie is sitting next to Karmelo and he's the opposing team, you don't think there's a history to say that maybe Karmelo, Austin, and Hunter maybe seen each other before, maybe known of each other at some point in time at all? You don't try to speak to any of that? You don't try to go finding some evidence on that? But look, they all benching Bati all cool right here, even though Eddie acting like he ain't know. They sort of defense is like, so if I bring up a photo right now, you and him at a meet, then what? Eddie acting like he mums the word. You know what I'm saying? And then this is their last photo, bro. Just to show that this image right here, it just shows that Karmelo is in the second row in the second box. It just shows that he was awarded a team captain in 2024. And that's all the photos that they provided. That's it, bro. What the hell is that, bro? What is it? That's all the photos, bro. You want to go through what the prosecutor's photos look like? Come on, bro. Let's go through the prosecutor's photos. We'll show you what they looking like, bro. Them people ain't playing no games, man. Stupid. Come on, bro. Look, prosecutor's photos. Okay, they proving their case. That's what they coming to do. They coming to prove their damn case. Look, prosecutor's photos. Look how they coming through. 1 of 58. Make sure y'all can see. 1 of 58. You see the top of the box. 1 of 58, homie. They ain't come to play. They coming through. Straight. Look. Setting the scene from the first one. This the whole field. Boom. Aerial view from the skies, from the heavens. Austin walking in with his dark colored gray New Balance sneakers. His brother walking in with the white. Shows the difference in between the two because they dress like twins. As he was under that tent, he ends up putting on a coat because we see it from the prosecutor's photos that Austin had on the coat when he was poked because he bled all into that coat. He bled all over the coat. So obviously he had a coat on at some point. Right? Karmelo getting ushered out the building by Officer Cortez and Officer Richie. That's the woman. Her name is Officer Richie. So even in Cortez's body cam, the date is off, but on Richie's body cam, the date is right. She walks up on Karmelo and them on the scene. This is probably when he's talking to them saying, I told him not to touch me. This is that time. Look, they showing him being pointed out. 2 people pointing him out. People still pointing him out, pursuing him. They still pointing him out, trying to get the attention of somebody. Still pointing him out. He begins to walk, stops running. Still pointing him out. Then he gets to the staff member around this area right here. He gets to the staff member right here. She tells him no, to go back the other way because you can exit from the track meet right here. This is the same place that the police just walked him out. That's the entrance into the meet. It's the entrance to the field. So was Karmelo trying to boogie, period? Don't know. But that's the way he was running to. This is where he was running to. Okay? He was running towards the exit, period. This is probably where they found the weapon at, where the altercation happened at, right? Shows the coach messages. Okay? You dudes never stay and celebrate your team, and you guys don't win. So what value are you bringing the team besides coming out and celebrate yourself? So listen, man, we're not bringing them to the meet. That's from the coach. That's from the coach. They bringing Ramir and Noah to the district meet, not y'all. This is the message to Austin from a coach. You and Rhett are on the early bus. Remember, they telling him that he's a leader. This is what the prosecution brought this up for, to show that he's a leader, right? But they're telling him to be a leader in a way to say, step up and be a leader to the younger people that's on the team as well, right? Be a leader. I need you and Rhett to hold us down, okay? I will be helping with hosting the meet. So I'm going to be leaning on my older guys. But we do see that he says, you and Rhett on the early bus, get the tent and whatever else we need. Okay. Karmelo's team coach said they did not bring his tent because they didn't have the manpower to put it up. This is part their fault. Okay. Whether you want to think it was raining a lot, it was raining a little bit, it was raining at all, right? If they had their tent up, it's damn sure no reason for Karmelo to be over there at all. None whatsoever, bro. I don't care about no damn Eddie. Eddie threw his ass under the bus anyway. But Centennial High School coach did not bring their tent. It's negligent as hell, especially if the prosecutors are saying that each tent serves as a locker room. They're trying to say it serves as a locker room, right? It's more open than a locker room, but this is why they ran their case. So why don't his team have their locker room then? Who's to blame for that? Karmelo? No, the coaching staff. The coaching staff. Okay, the scene, the aftermath. The first responders, they got there pretty quickly. Situation happened like 10 o'clock. They were there by 10:05. We know that because we also hear it from the 911 call. When the call ends, they say it's 10:05, and we heard they say Mason phone call. But as soon as we see, he says, "Oh, thank you for coming quick. Yeah, I can hear them. I see them in the distance." He could already see the responders coming, and we see when Karmelo is exited out of the track meet. When he said, "Oh, I told him not to touch me," we see that the paramedics and the fire department are walking right past Karmelo out the entranceway. They coming in the entrance. Carmelo's going outside the entrance with the cops to the car. You see that? So they responded pretty quickly. Okay? They responded pretty quickly. Look, the kids left all type of stuff. Phones is here. All type of stuff is around. Look, something tragic just happened. The teammate just got unalive. This high book bag that's up here is Carmelo's. Karmelo dropped his book bag, dropped the blade, dropped everything, and got a boogie in. Okay? Look, they got the weapon. They got the weapon with, you know what I mean, the fluids on it. Look, they got all type of evidence. Look, they got bad pictures. Setting the scene for you. Setting the scene. Tarp is up now. All of that. Look. Tarp with Carmelo's book bag on it. He grabbed a random book bag. Just so happened it was Carmelo's book bag that the officer grabbed. He didn't know it was Carmelo's. Kind of find out it was. Look at Austin's coat. Right? His sneaker left at the scene. Carmelo's book bag with his team logo on the book bag. The contents of his bag is going to come up. The evidence marker with the knife. The weapon again. Close up of the weapon again. The inches of the weapon. 3.5 to the dot. Another view of it showing you that it's one of those flick out a knife with the thumb push, and you got to squeeze in the inside of it to make it go back down and retract into the sheath. Right? Look at this. Look at the coat. The inside of the coat. Look. Bled right out into his coat one time. The contents of his bag. Look. He got one of these. Electrolyte drink mix. Hydration multiplier. A hydration multiplier. This thing. This is what he had. Okay? That's that right there. This. Okay? Electrolyte drink mix. Some peanuts and stuff, right? The Afro pick, some Aquaphor grease, some car keys and all of that. Chargers, a Scooby-Doo crossword puzzle. It's kids, bro. Got a Scooby-Doo crossword puzzle, bro. Think about that. Muffins, a ski mask, look like a Pooh Shiesty, a chain with a cross on it, right? His sweater with the one stain of blood on it. The evidence marker on the blood. The actual spot, the actual stain. The back of the hoodie. The actual cut that he sustained on his hand. Because they think that because the officer told him on the body cam footage, yo, listen, man, you got some blood on you, bro. So don't lean back yet. Just try to sit up forward. And he ended up taking a picture of this. But in court, they testified that that was sustained, that he sustained a cut, Karmelo, during the incident, after the incident, whatever. After this image right here is an image of Austin. Austin's wound. Can't show you that. It's crazy. Respect to the unalived, YouTube as well. You know that. They don't want to see that, right? It's graphic in nature. It's graphic in nature. When you look at his wound, come on, bro. Some people saying that Austin deserved it, they deserve that. They kids to me, bro. They kids, bro. I can't say that. They're kids, bro. Children, bro. And as children, sometimes grown people don't know no damn better. They're young people, bro. It's the craziest thing that some people get to live past some of the things they've been through. Karmelo and Austin, no. Austin most definitely didn't get to live past it. He died, bro. And now Karmelo is in jail doing 35 years. And that's going to be the hardest thing that he can do straight up in his life. It's the hardest thing ever to do. This time in prison, bro. You got to become savage really quickly, bro. Really quickly, you got to become a savage, bro. And I don't think he was a savage. I don't. So when Angry Man was saying he's a King Von, he did something, but I don't see him as no King Von, bro. I don't. I think he was scared. I think he was trying to protect himself, and I think he was scared, bro. You know what I mean? For real. Austin was a big boy too, bro. Get it twisted. You know what I mean? But that's why it's good for you to know how to fight or stuff like that. But we could sit here and guess and say you should have known how to fight. You shouldn't be scared. You should want to fight. He pushed you. You should want to push him. He grabbed you. You should want to fight him. We could sit here and think about a bunch of things, bro. But none of us know what Karmelo was feeling in his mind. And that's why I think it's bad that he didn't get a chance to speak for himself and actually let everyone know what he felt. I think it would have gave everybody a chance to see him as that kid that he was when it happened, regardless if he was being charged as an adult. Period, bro. Period. And he is found not guilty. Will there be an apology from the public? Oof. Candy. I don't know. It's a process, though. It's most definitely a process. It takes a lot to get retrials, you know. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. It most definitely does. So we're not going to say that that's an easy process for him to get a retrial. It takes a lot. You know, I doubt even if he did win it, his appeal or whatever the case, I doubt he'd get an apology of anything. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he still was a part of an unaliving someone. Whether you want to say he did it with the force, Austin fell on him, he had it. It's all kind of stories being thrown around the internet right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's all kind of stories being thrown around. Regardless of the fact he's on camera saying that he did it. Not only is he saying that he did it, he said, I know how this goes. You know how what goes, bro? What are you talking about? That was the craziest thing I ever heard him say. What do you know how what goes, bro? Mum's the word, sir. Mum is the word. Straight. You don't know how nothing goes, bro. You're new to this, bro. You feel me? Straight. Let me bring up that real quick so we can see you real quick. Look. Hold up. Let me bring that up real quick for you. That is the entryway camera. No. That is actually body cam footage. Okay, body cam footage from here. Look, you can't hear it on Cortez's body cam. You can only hear it on Richie, the woman that comes up. Listen.
It's the alleged suspect.
Okay.
I am. No, I'm not. Well, I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. I did.
Okay.
We'll be there in a minute. No, I'm not. Well, I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. I did.
Okay.
No, I'm not. Well, I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. I did.
Okay.
I am. No, I'm not. Well, I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. I did.
Okay. We'll be there in a minute.
It's not a good look for you to say that. I mean, I could think like, in the beginning, I'm saying, all right, if you did something in self-defense and you're just speaking something truthfully, then I get it. There's no reason for you to lie, even though you shouldn't be talking to officers about anything because officers can't help you to do nothing. They're there to process everything, process you, document whatever they need to document and book you. That's what they're there for. Not there to help you at all. You know what I'm saying? But you saying you know how this goes. How do you know how this goes? How? What, you seen it on the news? You've seen it in real life? Have you been through a situation like this in your life? So what makes you think that you know how this goes? So these are not helpful things for him. It's not helpful for him. You know what I mean? It does show in some ways during and after the situation, it shows that he did have some remorse. He did say he was crying at least. He did ask the officer, was he going to be okay? We did see that as well. You know what I'm saying? But, so this Cortez's body cam.
And I'm just protecting myself. If somebody is treating the victim, they need to be
First
over
thing
there.
he said is, I was protecting myself. First thing he says is, I was protecting myself.
And I'm just protecting myself. If somebody is treating the victim, they need to be over there.
Under a memorial pen.
Don't reach for anything, all right, man? Stop right there for me. Dispatch 443. I got the suspects, and they're currently treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. All right. Any weapons on you like that?
They're currently treating the victim. So that's how fast the responders got there. They got there within a few minutes. Luckily, they did. But for them to help him, based on people that testified, based on people that know what the hell they're talking about, they said that he would have had to get to a hospital immediately. The chest cavity has to be broken for them to even go about fixing the heart. You have to break the chest cavity open to even go into even repairing the heart. Okay? Austin passed away right there on the scene. RIP to him. It's crazy though.
I'll look here.
How long? He put his hands up. I know I'm not.
4-4, copy, I'll be in route.
Help me, y'all back up a little bit. Come over here for me. Come over here.
447, clear.
I'm gonna put your handcuffs for now, okay? Dispatch 443. Everybody can slow down. I got the alleged suspect in handcuffs right now, detained.
Everyone else can slow down. Suspects detained in handcuffs.
Hold on. You can open up the channel, and medics are clear to come in. Have them come to the northeast entrance. That's gonna be a gate that's wide open there, and then you come to the victim from there.
Received.
This is the alleged suspect. All right, bye.
Dispatch is 432.
Huh?
Yeah, cool.
Okay. We'll figure that in a minute. So nothing.
You see, we couldn't hear what Karmelo said, which is, I'm not alleged. I'm the one who did it. I know how this goes, because his walkie-talkie's going off. So that's how come we hear it on the other officer, the female officer, Officer Richie, as she walks up, you can hear that on her body cam. You know what I'm saying? That's how come, because he's calling into the CB and the walkie-talkie bleeping and going off. So you don't get to hear his response to Karmelo and Karmelo responding to him, right? Cool.
Nothing on your person at all? No, nothing? No, sir. Mind if I reach in your pockets and stuff and all that? Nothing gonna stab me?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm going to be out with this. Received.
I'm gonna a little personal there, okay? Just to make sure.
My car's right there.
Okay. Yeah.
You want me to get up now?
Go. All right. The victim's going to be underneath that tent over there, so I'll get medics.
Maybe something's different if Karmelo created reasonable doubt here and said, yo, I told them not to touch me. I told them. Maybe this goes more to that mindset of what people talk about. He was being jumped. Look at the eye. His eye looked like it got a little bruise on it. There's mad things we saying all online. Everybody's saying. But if Karmelo said something like this, maybe this plays a little bit better, right? To say, yo, was he being jumped? Reasonable doubt, you know. Was he really being jumped under there, bro? Was they trying to jump him? And that's why he backed the weapon out on some real tight vibe. Besides Austin, he got other energies around him. You could see other people. Obviously, he's there. He's over there by himself, obviously, because he's with Eddie, and Eddie ain't no damn friend to nobody, obviously, right? And we watched the brothers come in at least 5 deep. First 3, and then the second 2, right? Austin's in the first 3. Hunter and his friend, I think Carlton or whatever his name, is in the back behind them, right? But we see that Hunter runs up, he touches his brother on the back and passes him and runs right in front of his brother. So he's a part of the first 3 now that ends up entering into the tent. And then he and his brother also enter in the tent as well. There's been a big discrepancy on who arrived first. Okay. People from the news, at first, Neek at Night, she also did a video and documented that I think Karmelo arrived. No, that the brothers arrived first, and then Karmelo arrived after. But then I spoke to Neek, and I think Neek said she went back on her notes, or the next following day they cleared it up in court, and she was able to find out. I think this is what Neek says, Neek at Night, because the news said this too as well. So I thought that the news also got it wrong, right? So they're saying that Karmelo was there first, and then then the twins came. Mel 777, which watching the world 777, Mel, he's saying that the twins came first, and then Karmelo arrived. Megyn Kelly played a video saying that the twins is in the tent, and then Karmelo arrives, and we can see him walk up behind them. This is a big discrepancy in information right here. It's multiple people saying different sides. Okay, you got the court TV, you got Neek and Knight, and certain people saying, yo, nah, Karmelo was there first, they say, and then the twins arrived. Okay, we got Megyn Kelly, who damn sure don't even like Karmelo, saying that the twins are there and Karmelo arrives. We got Watching the World 777 Mel saying that the twins are there and then Karmelo arrives. Okay, so there's a discrepancy on that information. I can't wait for the transcripts to come even fast enough. Again, I've been in contact with people from Texas, from the court. They said that we have to wait for the appellate procedure to happen first, and then I will be contacted, or I have to contact them back to get the transcripts, and then and only then they will let me know how much I have to pay to purchase the transcripts, and I will be purchasing them. So I'm saying I want to get the story straight up. I hope I'm the first person with it. Straight. Seems like I'm the only person that got a response. So it's looking highly favored in my favor that I may be the first one to get those in my hands. Okay? Straight. I don't want nobody running down. Yo, give me the transcript, Uda. I don't know what they want to charge me for them. This ain't the Diddy trial. I gave everybody the Diddy transcripts for free. Everybody's charging $1,000, $100, $500. I ain't charging not a soul. Okay? This is not going to be that deal, though. I'm telling you right now. So, letting you know straight. So this is a real deal right here. And there's too much misinformation, so we need to get to the truth. Let's finish this out. Oh, shit, my bad.
Memorial tent over there, guys. All right.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
What's happening right now? Victim is over here on the north end. They got staff standing to him right now. This is the alleged suspect. Already? No. We searched them. He's got nothing on him.
I don't know what happened.
423. Trackers have negative CPR progress for a little bit.
Racing.
You know, that's the wrong thing.
Racing.
Sorry, over here or side? Up to you. It's up to you.
That's fine. This is closer.
Okay. Let me do one more little check of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't mind for reaching your pockets, anything like that? You good?
You can. Well, you're just wearing this one pair of pants? No, I'm wearing some little underwear. Well, yeah. But those are just not pockets.
No, ma'am, I don't think so.
Let What's your name, man?
Karmelo Anthony, K-A-R-M-E-L-O.
430, show me out.
Okay.
Everything.
Have a seat here real quick, man. Watch your head. Let me check your hood here, buddy, okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, lean this way so you're not resting on your hands, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, see a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
402, I'm on scene.
So your first name is Karmelo.
That's when he takes the photo of Carmelo's hands that I just showed you in the prosecutor's photos, right? The same image right here. You see his hands behind his back, him in the car. Cool. Carmelo's going to ask about Austin if he's doing okay. He's going to ask this officer. He's just going to move forward. So let's just wait to hear that too as well.
Hello?
Yes, sir. K-A-R-M-E-L-O.
Let's see. Hold on one second.
Is he gonna be okay?
I don't know yet, man. Carmelo, C-A-R-A.
K-A.
Ooh,
K-A-R. All right.
402, I'm on scene.
So your first name is Carmelo?
Yes, sir. K-A-R-M-E-L-O.
Let's see. Hold on one second.
Is he gonna be okay?
I don't know yet, man.
Is he going to be okay? You hear Carmelo ask him. He says, I don't know yet. And he just finishes processing Carmelo, right? He's inquiring about him. You know what I'm saying? It don't seem like he, you know what I mean, wanted to unalive him. Probably get him up off him. Sounds more like that. But I don't think he really intended to unalive Austin. You know what I mean? Some people saying, yo, he did. He's convicted as an Emmer, so you're an Emmer. You know what I'm saying? You're an Emmer, bro. Because once you get convicted as an Emmer, you're Emmer, regardless if you're not or not. But it doesn't seem that he wanted to do that. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't seem that way to me. You know what I mean? Hold up. I'm gonna do it. Oh, I gotta go here, right? Share window. All right, cool. Let me share this window. All right, cool. So we got the footage, right? Boom. Did I zoom this out? Okay, look. So there's a first set of boys. Austin's in the front right now. His brother is running because I wondered how did the brother and Austin change positions? Because I'm gonna show you the entry video, the entryway video, the entrance into the meet. The first three boys that come in, Austin's with them. Then there's two boys that come in behind, and it's Hunter and his friend. But Austin is the one running. He runs up, touches his brother on his back, and then he passes him. And this is how he ends up in the front. Look. See, that's Austin right there. I mean, that's Hunter. See? He touches him there. That's Hunter. And he passes him up. He runs and jogs in the front. So that's how Hunter gets in the front of Austin, and he enters the tent first. Look. And we see Hunter has on white sneakers. Okay? We saw it from the photos I just showed you. I just showed you the photos on here. But I'll go into the entryway video so you can see it clearly. So look, you're going to see these first two people walk straight. Hunter is going to walk up into this gap and fill in that gap and sit down right there. So they're saying, some people are saying Carmelo's already here. I'm thinking if he was already there, it would have been up and popping from the very beginning. So I'm feeling like, was he there? Seems like the brothers was there and then he came. Remember, I wasn't in the court. I didn't get a chance to take my notes, which I'm mad at. Two sides are saying two different things. Some people are saying that Austin was there first. Some people are saying Carmelo was there first, right? But we do see Hunter is the first one. We can see his white sneakers. Like he breaks off. He's about to go up. See? You see the white sneakers. That's Hunter first. Goes up, sits down, steps over something. He's still standing up. He's sitting down. Now, this is his brother and the other friends coming up into the tent right now. All right. They say one arrived at 9:54 a.m. The other arrived at 9:56. Whether you say it's Carmelo that was there first at 9:54 and the brothers came at 9:56, or whether you're saying that the Austin brothers came at 9:54 and Carmelo arrived at 9:56, either way. Because remember, we got conflicting information that's going around online right now. Okay, cool. But we do see a figure walk in. Megan Kelly reported that everybody's going to be here, and then we're going to see a figure walk behind them in the tent and have a seat. And that's Karmelo. Because it seems 4 minutes after that is when the altercation happens, the actual thing happens, right? Many witnesses testified that they was telling him also, get out, man, just leave, man, get out the tent. Other people saying, yo, I think he got a weapon on Austin. Yo, this Bristol, I don't think he got no weapon. So, yo, you a B, you a punk ass me, you a B, you a P, so this whole kind of speculation, all kind of things being said underneath this tent at the time. So it may look cool, but it's not as cool as it's looking, right? So look. See, they sit down. It would make more sense that Karmelo wasn't there. I would think they would have got it popping from the beginning. Because he an op, not in the sense of ops, but you're an opposing team. What the hell are you doing on our tent? We don't want you here. You know what I'm saying? Why didn't they have the energy from already? But after a couple of minutes fly by, we're going to see a figure walk by and sit down. Where is it at? Let me find it. There you go. Look. See that figure? Look. That's somebody that comes right there and sits down. Boom. They're saying that's Karmelo that took that seat. They're saying that's Karmelo that took that seat back there. You know what I'm saying? And he's sitting behind Hunter. Remember, Hunter's the first person to sit in the gap that I showed you. So he's sitting behind Hunter. That's what they're saying. Was he in the tent already? Did he now move on that side of the tent to be behind him now, to be close to Eddie, to come talk to Eddie? I don't know. But we know that when it all pops off, Hunter looks backwards and runs up the steps like he's chasing after Karmelo, and then he comes back down to check on his brother Austin. So we do see that. So we can know that Karmelo's position is behind there for a fact. Is he the person that just walked in, or was he there already? This is one of the big discrepancies that's going on online. And we're going to need them transcripts in our hands to really get down to the bottom of that. Straight. We're going to need it, bro. It seems this way, right? So now look. So now they back there. I don't know if y'all can see my arrows, but this is Hunter in the front here. Seeming like Austin is next to him, maybe under the M. Directly under the M, Austin would be right here. Because we see that this person pushes past through here towards behind Hunter to get to Karmelo. Okay? Cool. Let's just go back a little bit. Let's go forward a little bit. Oh, look where he comes from. Oh, no. Look where he actually comes from. Look, under the M. Hunter's over. Okay, cool. You can see a line right here. Hunter is to the, Austin is to the left of this line right here. I was thinking more that Austin was directly under the right part of the M, but it's seeming like he's under the left part of the M, okay? The front part of the M. It's seeming like he's coming from here and he's coming in the way. One person testified that he moved fast and pushed Eddie out the way, right? You can see a figure coming from there. See? And that's where the altercation's happening. Rather than them talking about what's going on. Yo, you got the weapon, you ain't got none. Whatever's going on with that. Let's forward a little bit. See, for 4 minutes, they in the tent. It's 4 minutes exactly. And then the situation happens. Wait, so look. See, you can see him push this way and somebody push back that way. And then Karmelo comes out the tent. One of Austin's friends and Hunter's friends that was with him runs like he's running towards Karmelo, but he runs towards the garbage. It looks like he dropped something in the garbage. I did see an image that popped up. I don't know how factual it is. It was saying of of the toxicology report of Austin's toxicology report. I don't know how true it is. So I want to make sure it's all factual, because it was saying like he had maybe some MDMA or something like that in his bloodstream. I don't know how factual it is. You know what I mean? I did see it from online. Okay. So I don't know how true it is. Remember, we in the world of AI now. Everybody's a damn artist and everybody's a damn scammer today now. You know what I mean? You have to have some actual talent to scam before. You know what I mean? But now anybody can create some image and just post it online and trying to go viral. Okay. And I just think that's just crazy. So I just want to make sure we get that right, to make sure if that is the exact toxicology reports, then make sure that is actually the right toxicology report. Feel me? I don't want them to just say, so what did he throw out? His friend, Carson, or whatever his name is. Hunter and Austin's friend. Yeah, look. He runs and pushes and throws something in the garbage. What was he throwing? Look. Okay. But look, you know what Hunter was, because when it happens, look, you're going to see Hunter turn around and run after Karmelo. Look. You see him step over and then comes back down. That person stepped over and came back down. Looked like they was pursuing Karmelo at first, but then they weren't. Okay. Let's skip through. Remember, he's being chased. He's chased to the woman, Tiffany or whatever her name is, the blonde-headed woman that walks him back to the other coach, right? That coach walks him, that's her behind him. You can see her. Walked him behind to the coach. The coach walks with him. The coach is going to break away from him, get distracted. The coach is telling him, yo, listen, man, you might have thrown your life away, man, if that boy passes away. See, he went that way, maybe to tell a student or something. Carmelo's walking. He stops. This is when the coach comes and tells him that. Look, you see Karmelo do that. You might have thrown your life away if that boy passes away. You see the coach put his hand on Karmelo, his left hand. You're going to see Karmelo put his left hand on top around him, and you're going to see like Karmelo's looking like he's whimpering, right? Carmelo's arm's going to go over. See it? Boom. He got his hand on this, and Karmelo got his hand like this. So they both got their left hands on each other in a hug. Right? Cool. Then, you know, they're waiting for authorities. We did see that the officer that came that arrested Karmelo, the first arrested officer, Cortez, he's going to come from behind the gate. So this is people around him that's going to be there, but the arresting officer is going to come from behind this same gate where you see these kids walking, the first initial place where you see Karmelo running, because that's what I just showed you that on the body cam footage, right? Cool. Let's skip through a little bit. See, he goes down towards there. So he gets to see Austin's there. Paramedics haven't arrived yet, right? I'm going to show you when the officer comes. He's going to go down on the floor right here. See? Let me just show you when the officer comes. When he starts to walk towards that fence is when the officer is coming. So he's there. See? That's where the officer comes. All right, man, stop for me, man. Don't do nothing, all right? Don't touch nothing. Don't make no moves, all right? That's the officer there behind the gate. Comes through the gate, gets Karmelo, and walks Karmelo down, right? Then that's where Karmelo gets down on the ground, right? That's where he's telling them, yo, I'm not the alleged. I'm the person that did it, and I know how this goes. That's what Karmelo's saying to him here. You're going to see when the other officer comes in, Richie, from her body cam footage, she's the one that gets it on audio, right? Look. She's not there yet. I think she's there right there. That's her right there, walking into the scene. That's her. That's her, the female officer that comes right there. Boom. Okay? That's how that went. And then that's it. And then they pick him up and go to where they're going to bring him outside the stadium, right? As they're bringing him outside the stadium, the first responders are making their way into the stadium as well. Okay? You see them go by? They're already right there. Look. The first responders is already moving there. They're moving aside already to go and help Austin, right? And just one more thing to show y'all. Hold up, give me a second. Show y'all one more thing. Share video file, right? Video. Okay, cool. So this goes to show you. So remember when I showed you on that footage that Hunter, Austin's the first person. He comes in a group of 3, see? So I was wondering, how did Hunter pass him? But I just showed you how Hunter passed him because Hunter ran right by them, protected his brother on the back, and then ran past him, right? But we could see that Austin is a part of the first group of boys, which is 3, and Hunter is in the back with the second group, which is him and one person. There's 2 people. So altogether it's 5 boys. Okay, they're all on the same team, obviously, but they're all friends, is what I'm saying. So this is where people get the illusion. Oh, it was 5 people against Karmelo. It was, they were trying to jump him. They was da. This is where some of that comes into as well, because we can actually see that they're already 5 deep going into the track meet, walking to the tent 5 deep, right? Cool. So let's just wait and see Hunter. Okay, there goes Hunter with a boy. This is the boy they saying that ran to the garbage. This boy back here. They're saying this is him that ran to the garbage and act like he put something in the garbage or something happened with the garbage. This is him. What was he doing with that garbage? Okay, but we do see Hunter here in the back. They're twins, so it's hard to get everything. You mix them up. But only reason why we know for a fact that he's not Hunter, that is not Austin, is because he has on white sneakers. And I just showed you the prosecutor's photos that show you that his brother Austin had on dark New Balance shoes, black, gray type New Balances, some dark gray New Balances, right? Cool. So you see them walk into the, let's see if we could see him start to run. We might could see Hunter begin to run to catch up to them. We might could see that. See, Hunter begins to run, the friend too. That's when Hunter passes him. You can see it on this footage, that Hunter begins to run. That's how Hunter gets in front of Austin and is in the tent before that. So we're going to fast forward because there's nothing happening. Everything that happened already. They're going to break down this tent right here, throw it over to the left. Then you're going to see, remember when Karmelo was on the floor? You're going to see that right here because this is the image of the part of where he's at on the floor. He's here. So the entrance video saw him on the floor when he's saying, I'm not alleged, I'm the one who did it, and I know how this goes on. Yeah. So this is that video is going to catch him on the footage too as well. So look, they're going to break down the tent. Look, you're going to see the tent break down. See? They're going to throw the tent over. Boom. Right? Because something tragic has happened. Okay? Okay, see the officers got him right there. They put him right there on the floor, Karmelo, right? You're going to see the officer Richie, the female cop, walk up. She's the one that caught it on her body cam when he said, I'm not alleged. I'm the one who did it. I know how this goes. You're going to see her walk into the frame, okay? She's coming now. So that's the female cop walking in right now into frame, right? Cool. Now you're going to see that as soon as Karmelo's getting walked out the spot, right? The paramedics are already there. They came very quickly, thankfully, but not quick enough, you know what I'm saying, to help Austin. But they really did arrive very, very quick. See, you can see the first responders right there. And Karmelo's walking by. They're going to actually move him to the side to get past. Stop. They go by him and they go inside. And this is Karmelo walking outside to the car that I just showed you in the body cam footage. And he's saying, oh, I told him not to touch me or whatever the case may be. This is when Karmelo's saying that. So we got to like piece all the videos together to kind of like make out what exactly was happening. You know what I'm saying? And that's Karmelo getting brought to the vehicle. All right. And that's how we have to kind of break things down. Some people saying this don't matter, that don't matter. Everything matters, bro. There's a bunch of misinformation going around online. Okay. Some people ain't seen the photos. Some people didn't see the defense photos. Some people never seen that body cam footage I showed you. Some people never heard the 911 call. Some people never heard these things. In the 911 call that I played for you and I told you, he says the Austin tried to make a move, yo. Tried to make a move. That means what? You know somebody got something and you still trying to make a move? When you say that, if I'm holding up a store and I got the thing in my hand, I'm holding you up right now. You tried to make a move. That means you tried to make a move for the weapon. Or the alleged weapon, because you didn't know there was one. But why would Austin's friend say he tried to make a move? That's his wording of how he said that. It's just pretty strange why he said it that way. And he said it during the 911 call. So that's already encapsulated in time. There's no making up or changing that. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Hey, Teron. Love and happiness. Salute. Candy. Yeah, man. It's crazy, man. The whole situation is crazy, regardless of the fact. Yeah, I'll be checking for the transcripts. The appellate process is underway. That's why I did this video on some of the appellate process. What is an appellate brief? I try to go through a read of that for us. Maybe that gives us some sort of an understanding. If you haven't seen that, I think you should go back and probably listen to me read exactly what an appellate brief entails, exactly what it is, how does it help him, what will make it, you know what I mean, not go through all of these different things. I kind of get through that, you know what I mean, so we could kind of understand how this process goes. So then now we can understand what's happening now. We understand that they had 14 days to file their appeal, which he did it in about 3 days. And we understand that if you don't do it in the allotted time, then that just throws away your whole appeal. So we get that as well. So his new defense team, who's coming in to step in, Gary Bledsoe, Brooke Clues, and Russell Wilson II, I think they have an uphill battle, you know, based on what the defense did initially in the trial. I think they kind of limited a lot of the options. That's just me personally. I think they did limit a lot of options. So it's not going to be as smooth sailing as some people may think, his appeals process. And it's not based on oral arguments. You know what I mean? I think both sides get about 15 to 30 minutes to say whatever they want to say, but it's really not about bringing up new evidences. It's about basically explaining what happened at court, what happened on the record, what happened, what kind of procedures was, you know what I mean, was messed up on any procedures or things like that, as far as the judge goes, as far as objections goes, as far as anything goes. So it's a process, but the process is underway. How long would it take for him to get the appeal, though? You know, we understand that there's many people in jail system. Many people want appeals, too. Many people are fighting for appeals as well. Do you think that they just bump him up to the top and he's the first one to go for an appeal just because he's in there? He just got sentenced? Come on, bro. Appeals sometimes could take years, if not 5, 6 years sometimes, just to even wait for an appeal. You know what I mean? So it's not really like a quick process. So, you know, the first process is to see how fast his appeal comes about. You know what I mean? Does any other information come out, you know, during this process, you know, that can help him? But again, it's based on things that happen in court and things that happen at the trial. And the appeals process is not about really bringing up new evidences. It's about bringing up procedural mishaps and things like that that happen exactly at the trial. Okay. So that's where we're at with the whole situation. You know, that's where we're at. If anybody's telling you something else, then they may be trying to grift or trying to get a couple of dollars out of you or some stupid shit, probably. You know what I mean? I'm just going to tell you what it is. You know what I mean? I'll try to get to the facts as best as I can and just tell you what I see from my lens. And as I get the facts, I give you the facts. So when I get the transcripts, I will be reading them, going through them, breaking them all down. Yes, I will. Okay, I will be breaking them all down. And we're going to get to that. You know what I mean? We're most definitely going to get to that. So I appreciate everybody, man, that's rocking with us. King Udo on Go. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit the notification bells. Make sure you're notified. Make sure y'all share. Go to any of the videos, drop likes on videos, share what y'all can, hype this video when it becomes a video, hype the videos, do whatever y'all can do to help this thing move over here. You know what I mean? I haven't been live that much, especially after the trial. I was covering the Diddy's trial, you know, so I think YouTube is just playing with my channel a lot, with the algorithms and things like that. So it's all right. As long as y'all doing what y'all doing, liking, sharing, hyping, you know what I mean? We'll get past that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I do this because I do this for real, you know what I mean? And just want to get the information that I get out at the time as I get it. So I'm not trying to grift you, you know what I mean? You don't see me all day. Yo, come on, drop that dollar, y'all. Yeah, let me say that, bro. I put a goal there. My man Shadow came through, sent a $5. Salute to him. That's it, bro. I'm not here to beg anybody for anything, bro. But I appreciate all the support. You know what I mean? But I will hold my integrity. Sorry. I see a lot of people don't have none. It's a fact. So I will hold on to mine. Guaranteed. So salute to everybody. I love y'all all. Make sure y'all doing the right thing about Uda. Always on go, y'all.
All my niggas from the Uda, all my niggas turn shooters.